Genocide in Darfur is one of the worst humanitarian disasters of the modern era. The conflict, which started in 2003, has claimed at least 200,000 lives, and over 2.5 million people have been forced to flee from their homes. At its outset, this conflict garnered global attention.
We're here because we want the rest of the world to put pressure on the government of Khartoum. We want them to support you.
And as a consequence, in a rare example of bipartisan agreement, both Presidents Bush and Obama agreed that something had to be done.
I've called this massive violence an act of genocide because no other word captures the extent of this tragedy.
This is the awful legacy of conflict in Sudan, the past that must not become Sudan's future.
In 2009, the International Criminal Court indicted Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir for genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. However, to this day, he not only remains in power, but continues to wage war on his people. Last year alone, over 500,000 people were forced to flee the ongoing violence. So we sent Ben Anderson to see what's become of this forgotten war.
Just arrived at the first ever refugee camp in Chad, set up over 10 years ago now, because we're suddenly surrounded by thousands of kids. But then you realise that most of them have probably never been to their country of origin.
The kids have spent their entire lives in these refugee camps because the slaughter in Sudan has now been going on for over 11 years. Despite all of our pledges, very little has changed.
5 years ago, it felt like the world's attention was focused on Sudan and the refugees, and then they forgot about it. Is the situation today as bad as it was then?
تغيير بملايين مرة تغيير فيه. طلعنا جينا وقد استقبلونا المنظمات وهاي بدينا إخاذة كويس وعلاج كويس في الشهر كامل كورة ده. سكر ياخده في الشهر.
That's how much sugar you get for
سكر شهر.
1 month.
شهر. كل يوم كل أسبوع ماشي أسوأ في السوق.
Although billions were raised, including roughly $3.5 billion from the American public alone, funding is now drying up and leaving the refugees on the brink of starvation.
So they used to get enough food to provide 2,100 calories per person here. That's now been cut. They're now getting enough food for just 900 calories per person. That's roughly the same as 2 medium portions of fries from McDonald's. That's it.
ايش ده؟ بدون حبة حبة بس. بدون حبة حبة ودق بس برضه. والله أنا ده دايرة يعتبر بس. ما يالي نشربوا وناكلوا ونخطوا ونرقدوا ده بس دايرة فوق.
How long have you been here?
والله طلعنا من السودان. وجينا الحمد لله هنا رقدنا زي 10 سنة.
And what do you think the chances are that you'll ever be able to go home?
خلاص في السودان ده ما نرجو نهان. أي ما نرجو.
هسه حاليا ده هنا طبعا علينا قاعدين نوزن الإهالات بتعفو التغذية.
How many children here are malnourished now?
الأيام ده عندنا 60 مرات في يوم 70 كيلو.
60 or 70 malnourished kids are coming here every day.
Every day.
الحالة الأضعف حالة هو طبعا. بعد ده الدكاترة زي طبعا بيراقبوهم وبدوهم اللبن، واللبن ما بيشربوه بعد مرات ده. يا هو بيسوي لهم بالسول الشيء تضرب كده بقول له السول ده. يا هو ربنا ما تم أيامه بقوم وربنا تم أيامه كمان.
Are there children dying of malnutrition here?
بيموتوا طوالي، أطفال هنا ده قاعدين يموتوا طوالي.
The head of the United Nations Commission on Refugees in Chad told us how the situation has deteriorated over the past decade.
In 2003, we have 12 camps. And these refugees were supported properly by international community. But 10 years, the attention has gone down. The budget has been reduced by half. And these people are still here. More than 350,000 people. And the number keeps growing.
But your budget has been reduced by half?
By half.
And why is that?
Because these people seem to be forgotten. Maybe the media is waiting for people to die, but there is a need for people to know that the Darfur situation is not over unless these people return in their areas of origin.
As bad as life is in the camps, it's worse in Darfur. We met the most recent refugee to make the perilous journey across the border. He only agreed to speak to us if we hid his identity.
أحياناً الواحد ما بتحسب ممكن تكون حي بكرة وبعد بكرة وبعد ساعة. قنابل والحاجات اللي الحكومة القتل العشوائي موجود والتشريد موجود والاغتصاب لا زال موجود حتى الآن يعني حيوصل ودي ما نقدر نوصفه يعني لو قلنا جحيم في السودان وجحيم خاصة في دارفور.
And yet the man responsible for this hell, President Bashir, remains in power.
ولا قاعدين بمسكوا بودي في اللحاية في المحكمة. عمر بشير ليه؟ عمر بشير يبقى أقوى من أمريكا؟ غزافي وين؟ ما فات. علي عبد الله صالح وين؟ صدام حسين وين؟ ما كلهم عملوا ضد جرائم زي عمر بشير عملوا جرائم وخلاص. الناس بعضهم ونحن ذات يومين من الأيام نحن ذات نبايدهم. والله نطردهم.
With the international community continuing to do nothing, the various and fragmented rebel groups within Sudan have formed an alliance. I travelled to South Kordofan, an area next to Darfur, to see how much of a threat to Bashir they pose.
I know that GEM has fighters from Kordofan, northern Sudan, but you are mostly from Darfur. Why are you now fighting in South Kordofan?
If you know the geography of Sudan, Kordofan is nearer to Al-Khartoum. And the problem of Sudan is in Al-Khartoum, not in Darfur and not in Kordofan.
And so the goal is to overthrow Bashir so you can solve the problems of all of Sudan and not just Darfur?
Yeah. It is very important to teach our people that the problem is there in Al-Khartoum, not here.
But militarily, the government outnumber you and outgun you. So how can you succeed when you are so outnumbered?
That's why we are using our own techniques.
General Bakir showed me what these techniques were and why the rebels think they'll win.
This is one type of our vehicles. Each vehicle have 4 types of weapons. The anti-aircraft, 2 rocket propelling guns, and 5 or 6 clash. Sometimes also to use the vehicle itself, hitting them.
This is like a battering ram?
Yeah.
But is that like a suicide attack?
Yeah.
One of your men has an Obama t-shirt on.
Yeah.
What did Jem think of Obama?
Obama in the beginning is good. We expected that he helped us in solving our problem. But now he delayed, and we don't see anything directly from Obama coming to safety in our people.
I think that's what lots of people say about Obama. Assalamu alaikum. So you think it's a small rebel army, but then you just see endless trucks with massive heavy weaponry on the back. How many RPGs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 15 RPGs strapped to the side of this truck. How do they know how to use this?
Learning by doing.
So this is their ammunition and fuel storage. Before we've even walked in, I can see 7 rockets. Got no idea what these are.
Made in China.
Stolen from the Sudan government?
Yes.
Yeah? So I think they've got several trucks full of ammunition. Whoa! Yeah, full right to the top.
This is what we captured in Soroji, early January.
You can fire this?
Yes.
The rebels had acquired an astounding array of weaponry, almost all of which was stolen from their enemy, the Sudanese government.
So as they're opening the boxes and showing me everything they captured, I realise I'm standing on about 20, 25 of those huge 122mm rockets that we saw on the ground. Russian SAM missiles.
SAM?
And usually with anti-aircraft missiles like this, lots of people, particularly in the US, get very, very worried. Is that these could be used to shoot down civilian airliners, causing hundreds of casualties. I hadn't really thought about it before, but one of the major disadvantages of having a very well-armed but not very well-committed army, like the Sudanese army is supposed to be, is that if the going gets a bit tough, your men could end up fleeing and leaving all your best stuff to your opponents.
Not only are they gaining more weapons, but they're also growing in confidence. Recently, 2 of the allied rebel groups fought off a huge government assault.
There's just shells, bullet casings everywhere. Destroyed buildings all around us. Several destroyed tanks and armored personnel carriers. Jesus. So they didn't just hit the tank. It looks like they blew the entire turret off. How many tanks and vehicles and soldiers came here? And how many of you was there? So they outnumbered you 2 to 1, roughly?
Yeah, 2 to 1, yeah. They entered Troji area. We fight from 11 in the morning up to the sunset. We finished them totally. We took all their vehicles and more than 600 killed there.
They made this mass grave.
How many bodies buried here?
All our fighters, they feel that the government killed the people, burned their villages, looted their properties, raped their families. So they are very convenient to fight. Don't care about their deaths or injured or something like that.
When were you last home?
11 years.
You haven't been home for 11 years. Could you stay another 11 years away from your home?
Yes. Nelson Mandela. 40 years in prison alone.
How long before you think you will be marching on Khartoum?
Now I have troops in Kordofan. I have troops in the east of Sudan. So 6 months is maximum.
Within 6 months?
Within 6 months, maximum.
So there's over 100 trucks here. Most of them have got heavy weaponry on the back, anti-aircraft, anti-tank guns. And this is a serious show of force.
Besides the standing army, GEM are also training a batch of new recruits. As the world ignores Bashir's crimes, more and more people in Sudan are coming to accept that they are the only ones who are willing to act. Not long ago, everyone agreed that Omar al-Bashir needed to be stopped and held accountable for his crimes. But despite all the talk, it looks like the only way this will finally happen is all-out civil war and further suffering for the people of Sudan.